Ladies and gentlemen, media, I thank you for being here this morning. Today I wish to speak on my Asia mission trip. Last Sunday we returned home from a grueling but very productive mission to 5 cities in Asia over a 2-week period. As I said elsewhere, BVI as a financial services jurisdiction remains in a leading position, comfortably ahead of our competitors in the Asian market. We met with well over 1,100 persons at our various events, including 5 mini-conferences in Hong Kong, Singapore, Beijing, Hangzhou, and Shanghai. At various government departments in Beijing, business associations both in Beijing and Hangzhou, the principals of various major business entities and individuals. In Hong Kong, we were also pleased to meet with Andrew Hayne, British Consul General there, and with Ms. Carrie Lam, the Chief Executive of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. China is the biggest market for the BVI, and we were pleased to visit these cities with a population of well over 50 million. The trade mission continues to show that there is tremendous potential for the BVI in Asia, and that our clients in Asia continue to be keen to use our traditional as well as new products for their various activities ranging from wealth management to joint ventures, to mergers and acquisitions, to property development, to listings, indeed a whole gamut of financial management. The highlight of the mission was, of course, the opening of the Bank of Asia BVI at an event where over 500 business leaders and government officials were in attendance. Earlier in the day, we toured the bank's premises, which hired some 70 persons, including the BVI staff. From Hong Kong, we traveled to Singapore, where we had a half day of high-level briefings and presentations from digital and fintech leaders, including the Chief Operating Officer of ANZ Bank, Director of the Fintech and Innovation Group of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and with financial and fintech experts who are developing startup fintech companies. We also visited Crimson Logic Limited, which among other activities is bringing the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court into the digital era, starting with 3 countries including the BVI. We then traveled to Beijing and met with Madame Li Shilin, President of the Chinese People's Association for Friendship with Foreign Countries, and discussed various matters including expanding Chinese tourism to the BVI. While in Beijing, we also met with senior officials in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Commerce. They welcomed the news that Chinese would no longer require a visa to visit the BVI. We also discussed a number of economic matters such as the planned expansion of Beef Island Airport and upcoming major tourism and financial services activities in China. Later that day, Elise Donovan, Director of BVI House Asia, and Carson Wen signed a memorandum of understanding with the Chairman and CEO of the China Association of Small and Medium Enterprises to develop a business relationship between CASME and BVI. With 7 million members, CASME is one of China's most influential business organizations. In Hangzhou, I was pleased to speak to a gathering of 130 Chinese entrepreneurs of the General Association of Zhejiang Entrepreneurs. What made it special was that these men and women were from that city, but had established businesses all over China and much further afield using BVI companies. I took the opportunity to outline to the entrepreneurs BVI innovations, such as the new microbusiness company, the new Limited Partnership Act, and the introduction of Bank of Asia, the BVI's bank in the cloud. Hangzhou has become famous as the home of Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, and equally famous as China's Silicon Valley. On the final day in Shanghai, over 130 persons attended our mini-conference. Delegates, as at all meetings, covered topics such as the BVI Advantage, the opening of Bank of Asia and BVI, new BVI products such as the Microbusiness Company Act and the new Limited Partnership Act, and how the BVI can become more involved with the Belt and Road Initiative, a multi-billion-dollar project introduced by the Chinese government. Early in the day, we met with the senior management of China UnionPay, China's largest integrated payment and information service company, to discuss a possible business relationship built around fintech and digital payment services. The mission was an unqualified success. The industry in that region remains firmly committed to this jurisdiction and its offerings. We wanted to ensure that BVI continues to promote greater networking among the region. I was very pleased to lead a delegation and found the information received and relationship forged as having tremendous potential benefit to this territory. Furthermore, these discussions no doubt cemented in my mind the need for my government to continue to push for significant advancement in policies that facilitate the improvement of our capability and capacity. As a government, we will continue to do what is necessary to strengthen and build our tourism sector and our international relations so that the Virginals can further enhance our financial services and tourism brand in the regional and global economy. This is important as our efforts as a territory continue to be centered on the vision that we are collectively building the BVI stronger, smarter, greener, and better. Thank you. Now welcome your questions.
Good morning, Premier. Zan Lewis, ZBVI Radio. We spoke about discussions, Premier, as regards the extension of the airport and the tourism, developing tourism activities. You could go into more that's in terms of what to discuss and what exactly you're talking about.
As you know, Zan, we for some time now have been desirous of having an expansion of the Beef Island Airport. Right? And the process was halted for various reasons, but it is something that is necessary because we recognize the importance of airlift in helping to move forward the whole tourism product. Right? And so we are again pursuing the extension of the Beef Island Airport.
But pursuing, what are they saying? Pursuing them to assist with the financing, to assist in what area, what role are they going to play?
Yeah. What we are now looking for is what we call a PPP, public-private relationship, in the building the airport, and preferably what they call a BOT, a bill operate transfer. And this is the way in which many airports around the world, now include London Airport and an airport in the United States, have been built so that an entrepreneur, whoever that is, would build it, operate it, and then after a certain time, just hand it back over to the government in a fully operated way.
And the tourism, what sort of tourism activities is for?
Yeah. One of the challenges, in fact, let me start it this way. The Chinese are actually known as probably they travel more than any other people from any other country. They love to travel and visit various countries. One of the challenges they've had with coming to the BVI is the fact lack of the visa requirements, right? And so, and also the distance, right? And so we have looking at a two-pronged approach. First of all, the expansion of the airport will allow easier access to the BVI. Secondly, if they will be able to come here without difficulties of getting visas, then it'll be much easier and they'll be much more inclined to come to spend the vacation here. What we see as the linkage, for example, in many ways, is these Chinese persons, they are tourists, they will go to America, whether it's New York or Miami, whatever. And then it is an easy thing to then extend the vacation to come to the BVI or other places in the Caribbean. Having the visa-free access will allow them to encourage them to do it. And so all this is meaning essentially improving or increasing the tourism in the BVI, and hence improving the economy of the BVI.
Premier Malika McPherson from the Islands newspaper. In the past, it was suggested that Mandarin be introduced as a subject in the schools to better facilitate the BVI's relationship with China. Would you be encouraging this?
This is something that has been pursued by the Ministry of Education.
Do you know how soon, sir? I
cannot tell you how soon. I know we've had some discussions with the ambassador to London from China and other officials. So it's a continuing and ongoing discussion.
And Premier, in the past, the BVI also had some discussions with Shenzhen, if my memory serves me correct. Discussions included certain relationship. I think there was even a visit in the past. During your trip to Asia, did you further any of those conversations?
The relationship, the MOU with Shenzhen was to be able to exchange information with cultural activities, educational activities, and whatnot, so that we can have benefit on both sides. And of course, to encourage investments as they have been invested in using BVI companies and possibly to travel as visitors. So we are basically continuing the engagement in those areas. And we expect that once these things go into play, that is the airport extension and the requirements, that Shenzhen will also provide visitors from that city to BVI.
From here, Connor Devitt, BVI Beacon. Just to shift back to the airport really quickly, have you had discussions with specific companies about this private-public partnership?
Yeah, when we were in discussing the development of the airport several years ago, that was one of the positions that we were speaking about as well. But at that time, most of the companies involved were looking at having a contract and then building the airport for the government. Right? We are now on this particular route where we're going to be looking at some sort of relationship with the private sector. And I understand that there are several groups who are interested. And there will be some interest. There is some interest also about discussions during the last trip.
Could you provide us with the names of some of those groups that are interested?
At this moment, I could not provide you with the names.
Would you not say that there is merit to including the media in a due diligence procedure regarding, like companies that are named and we can look up ourselves? And
I cannot tell you the name because this is initial discussions. We haven't really got into the serious discussion. When we want to be able to do that, then of course we'll be able to provide the name.
And also, didn't the business case commission for the airport project a couple of years ago warn against using a public-private partnership for reasons of lack of financial reality around that?
There was a suggestion at that time. No, there was a suggestion that the costs would have been not that different, and the thought about having ownership was something that was discussed. And he thought it was preferably if we could have it built and have a company build it where the company came from and have it financed by loans. But when you're looking at, especially the current situation, where we have to concentrate on rebuilding the country, having a loan which would be maybe $200, $300 million for an airport extension, a serious extension, without the extension of the building. If we could do otherwise, it would be much better for us.
Premier, good morning. Esther Durand, BVI News. Going back to the Bank of Asia BVI, you mentioned that some locals will be part of the staff members. What percentage are we talking about?
The bank will have an office here in BVI, and all of those staff members would be from the region or from the BVI so far. If there's need, it might be necessary for some period of time to employ somebody else with some expertise, but it depends on the level of expertise that is required.
Okay. Also, you mentioned that there's going to be a new visa-free policy for Chinese nationals. When will this become effective, and can we expect an influx of Chinese nationals in the territory soon?
We made a decision a few weeks ago, right? And it's not expected that there'll be a great influx anytime soon, because the visits also will have to depend on other things like access. And access means the extended airport, as we were speaking about earlier, Because right now, when people travel, they want to get to their destinations as quickly as possible. And if you've got to make 3 or 4 stops, that's a disincentive. And so having an expanded airport where we can have longer haul, that even from maybe from even Miami to BVI or other places, just to make the connection easier, that would be the added incentive.
Switching gears a bit to your announcement, you're stepping down as Premier. What does that mean for you and your political career? Are you officially hanging the hat? What can we expect from you? And if you are, tell us why. If not, let us know why.
Well, I did not make an announcement that I'm stepping as Premier.
Well, you will not be contesting.
No, let me correct you, sorry. What I say that I will not be seeking the leadership of the National Democratic Party.
Right.
Yeah.
And you'll not be going into the upcoming election.
No,
You'll
no,
not be
no.
leading your party into the upcoming election. I think that's what you said.
Yeah. So I won't be the leader of the National Democratic Party. Right? I've been in that position for the past 20 years or so. 20 years, which I really appreciated and enjoyed, the support of all the members and the constituents of the country. And I thought it was time now that somebody else should do that.
Premier, will you be contesting the upcoming election?
The upcoming election is a distance away. In fact, I'm not sure when that will be. Right? And right now, we're concentrating on having this process so that will be a new leader selected for the parties, continuous to party. And I will be focused, my mind will be focused on the continued development of the country, particularly on the recovery process.
Premier, you said that you will not be contesting the leadership of the party. That is clear. I understand that the elections are coming up on Saturday. You're focusing on that. The election, you said, could be sometime in summer or before. So before could be in a few months' time. Are you contesting the election, or are you considering contesting the election, saying that that was excluded from your speech?
Yeah. Well, let me just repeat what I just said to you. That my focus right now is on the whole recovery and development of the BVI since the hurricanes. And that's full-time occupation, and that's what I'm focusing on.
So you're not thinking about that now?
That's what I'm focusing on.
So 1 second, but you did not answer the question I asked in terms of will you be retiring as a politician or just as a leader?
I'm not retiring. I'm not seeking the leadership.
Okay.
I continue to be the premier of the BVI, and that's why I was saying to Mr. Lewis that my focus will be on this recovery and development as premier of the British Virgin Islands.
So would you mind telling us why you decided to take a step back and allow a new face?
Well, don't you think after 20 years it's time enough?
You tell me.
Thank you.
Will you be endorsing anyone? I know Myron Wallerin and Ronnie Skelton will be vying for the top spot. Will you give it back into anyone?
I think that all the persons who are going to be vying for the leadership, whoever they may be, those you mentioned and maybe more, I'm not sure, because the nomination will take place from the floor. I think they are all, qualified.
Premier.
And they've been with the party for a long time, so they are qualified to lead.
Premier, just to put this in the lens of the airport project again, do you believe that whoever takes your place as head of the National Democratic Party, regardless of whether you choose to seek the premiership in a general election or not, again, you personally have been an advocate for this airport expansion project for a long time. Do you believe whoever takes your place at the head of the party will advocate for this expansion with the same determination that you have, regardless of who it is?
Oh yes, I think there's a general acceptance by the government, in fact by the people of this country, that there's need for the expansion of the airport.
just the reason I ask is that I believe in early 2017, it seemed like a decent number of the members of your own party stood up and said, we do not want to pursue this expansion right now. They didn't say we don't want to pursue the expansion ever, but they advocated for delaying the expansion. And I was curious if because of that, whoever wins this National Democratic Party election, will they impact the timeline for this expansion project?
No, there will be no impact on the timeline.
Going back to your trip to Asia, it came at a curious time when we were facing the impending 2020 public register. In fact, while you were there in China, the Deputy Premier went to the UK. While you spoke with persons there about the industry, did the 2020 public register come up at all? And were there concerns? And that's one part. The second part, do you feel now more confident that the BVI will weather this 2020 storm based on what you heard while you were there?
From my visit to China, as I said earlier, the level of interest in the use of BVI structures is as high as it's ever been. In fact, I would say it's probably increased. Right? And so that's important. There was not a lot of discussion about the 2020. Right? We've had challenges in the financial services sector over the years, many challenges. And we've had challenges with beneficial ownership before, and these were addressed. Right? And so I'm sure that the people who use our structures in China and those service providers are confident that the BVI will do what is necessary to make sure that the financial services continue to do well.
So you're saying you're not as worried about 2020 and what that would mean for the territory?
Not at this point, right? It's some time away, and we have to look at it, and we have to have discussion with the British government, and we have to do what is necessary to make sure that the business continues.
Premier, just going back to the statement you basically released a few days ago about you not seeking leadership of the party. You mentioned that the chapter's ending and also the recovery and the disasters basically put a little dent in some of your accomplishments. What would be two, or if not more, of the items that you had set out that you would have wanted to see completed while you were Premier of this territory? Are you going to try to get done before the next election?
This is probably my last question. But there are many things that are there that need to be continued. One of the things that I'm really interested in, of course, the whole recovery and development activity, that's extremely important. That is building back our tourism sector. Extremely important. As you know, many of the hotels are destroyed. And so we have a journey to really get those hotels back up and running, whether through the persons who own them now or the investment, whatever it takes, right? And I know that many of those owners have already started to rebuild, are in process of making their plans, so I'm happy with that. But one of the things I'm interested in really is look at the whole national pensions. And this is something we've been talking about now for a couple of years, and we need to continue to push on with it. And then we did a national insurance scheme a couple of years ago. I think that was something that was really helpful and valuable to the people in this territory. I think a national pension program is something that would be also very, very important. Thank you.
Let's go back to the airport. Let's go back to the important, the airport. This
last one for the
last one. I don't know if you said in speech, so who you spoke to as regards with the airport issue and the organization that person represents, and also what next? When will you be having discussions again with that group or probably any other interested group as regards the airport?
The airport authority will be the ones who will be taking forward in discussions on the airport development. And I know that they are taking forward discussions now. I don't, they're not at the point where they are ready to come to the government and say, this is what we're doing, and so right. But I know that they are seriously having discussion. And what I will be doing is pointing anybody that I've spoken to in the direction so that the conversations can continue.
But who you spoke with, that's and the organization you represented, that's what I'm asking. You said during the tour you spoke with
Oh, I see, I
who
see.
you spoke with and the organization you represented. I can't remember if you mentioned it.
No, I didn't mention it because we didn't speak with any particular group who would be developing the organization. We spoke to many individuals who have expressed interest. Right? This interest, again, has to be explored, and we'll be following up. And once there's something firm, we'll be able to make a statement. Okay? I want to thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you.